When I was finished as an assistant U.S. attorney, finished my time there, I was hired to be the chief of staff to the deputy attorney general in the post-Watergate Justice Department. And the mission there for Attorney General Levy and Deputy Attorney General Harold Tyler, who was my boss, was to straighten out the Justice Department. And I had a very big role in that on a secondary level as a assistant to Harold Tyler. I, for example, did most of the report on the church committee and what needed to be done to fix the intelligence communities where they had gone somewhat astray and it also had been exaggerated, a little of both. And then, of course, I came into the Justice Department in 1981 as the third ranking official under my hero, Ronald Reagan. And during that time, the report that we did, the Attorney General's Task Force on Violent Crime that I coordinated, that report was the 20-year Bible for how to reduce crime. The Crime Bill of 1994 came out of that. My reforms in New York came out of that. The broken windows theory, the CompStat program, they all came out of the 1982 Attorney General Task Force on Violent Crime, written by James Q. Wilson, but under the direction of Attorney General Smith, me, Jeff Harris. So by the time I got to be U.S. Attorney, I was about as prepared to be U.S. Attorney as anybody in history. And I think I had a record that I could match against anyone in history. It's hard to think of a time that a U.S. Attorney prosecuted so many people that they thought couldn't be prosecuted successfully, including sending Nazi war criminals to death, which people remember the mafia. They don't remember Wall Street. They don't remember the massive number of corruption cases that I did. That's how I became mayor. I prosecuted everybody in Koch's administration. Remember, I was only the third Republican mayor in 100 years. And the reason I was because of my record as a lawyer. And then as a mayor, I did the impossible. I became mayor when I was told that New York couldn't be changed. It had to be this way. And there were books written. New York cannot be governed. I took the books, I threw them down, ceremonial, and I said, BS. Human beings created this problem. We can fix it. So yeah, I don't know who the president is thinking about. I have so much respect for the president. I've known him for 40 years. He's more than just a president. He's somebody that I consider a very, very close personal friend. I worry about him constantly. I pray for him all the time for reasons that you know, because the man's in danger. And probably no one that knows it better than I do. I handled the Hinckley case for Ronald Reagan. I helped get Hinckley arrested. I oversaw the prosecution. And I oversaw the report that was done to fix his security, to fix Ronald Reagan's security. Because nothing like what they did to poor Donald Trump. But the security for Ronald Reagan was lax. No excuse for it because we were in an era where they had attempted to kill Gerald Ford twice. So when we get to Donald Trump, that attempt in Butler County, it hadn't happened in a while. But they did everything wrong and nobody cares about it. I care deeply about that. So far, everyone is really upset about so many things that haven't been done. The one that I'm the most upset about is there's no way we know so little about the two people that attempted to kill our president. And there's so much motive to kill him that you're going to have a 200-year conspiracy here if you don't start getting it solved. I mean, it's like the Kennedy assassination. Nobody ever bothered to investigate the four people with the most motive to kill President Kennedy because they have the guts to do it. And the same thing is true here. Nobody's investigating the attempted assassination of the president the way I would have when I put the mafia in jail or when I did 100 murders. You begin with the chief suspect and you prove whether he did it or didn't do it. And if he didn't do it, then you move on. Well, I think I could straighten out the Justice Department. You don't have to make me Attorney General. Just put me there put me there for 3 months, but before I'm finished, there'll be a new Justice Department, and the left-wing press will want to get me disbarred, but you'll find out that I am. But the Attorney General doesn't have to be a lawyer.
I know the Attorney General does not have to be a lawyer, Mr. Mayor, and with the fact that interim Attorney General does not need to have a Senate confirmation, the president could put somebody in there that wouldn't pass the Senate confirmation. I personally think a lot of people I speak to on both sides, as you know, right now, MAGA is sort of at war, but both sides can agree that somebody like you or somebody that would really fight weaponization would be a really ideal pick. And that somebody that actually gets through Senate confirmation probably isn't the right person we need right now to clean out the Department of Justice. Like, if someone easily pass Senate confirmation, that probably means they're not the right person right now to
if they easily pass
anything.
Yeah. If they easily passed, they would be a terrible choice.
Absolutely.
They passed by a tie vote, and Vice President Vance had to cast a vote. That could be the right choice. But in any event, let me tell you what you need in an attorney general. I learned it from Edward Levy, who was Gerald Ford's attorney general when he had the job of having to fix the Justice Department, and probably did the best job of anyone fixing it. And it remained until Eric Holder, who became the wingman for Barack Obama. People forget that. With Pam Bondi's exit, they're blaming her for politicizing the Justice Department. I took those newspapers and threw them in the toilet. And are they crazy? The Biden Justice Department wasn't politicized? When they broke into my apartment and law office, claiming they had probable cause that I committed a crime, and to this day won't give me the affidavit because they had to drop the case in 2 years, and embarrassingly had a right to the grand jury that they couldn't find any probable cause that I committed a crime. But they broke into my apartment, and they had to have sworn that they had probable cause. And now they won't show me. Even this Justice Department won't show it to me. This is why people are mad. I can't get it out of this Justice Department. What are they? I mean, it's none of them. I mean, as a lawyer, it confounds me that you particularly break into my law office, which is sacrilegious as a legal matter. I never did it in 17 years in the Justice Department, and I prosecuted some of the worst criminals in the history of America, and I never broke into a law office. I wouldn't do it. I mean, the attorney-client privilege is more important than the worst criminal in America. If you don't understand that, you shouldn't be a lawyer. I mean, a lot of people are lawyers that shouldn't be. I'm someone that should be a lawyer, and I was thrown out for reasons that are un-American and reasons that really have to do with the fact that we went through 5 years of the dark ages, the worst period of time for American justice. And this president has straightened it out, but it hasn't been straightened out, so it's going to live for another 20 years, the way Gerald Ford did. Gerald Ford, in his very short time, straightened out the Justice Department, and we were living on his changes until Holder and Obama came along. And that's when it first got politicized. Right. Clinton tried to a little, but Reno fought him back. I mean, Reno was a joke, made an object of jokes, but she was a real solid former district attorney, tough as nails. And Holder was her deputy and very good at that time. But then when he got in with Obama, it became he became political.
No, 100%. And nobody knows what weaponization is like you do, which is why I personally think, if I could pick an attorney general, you would be perfect, Mr. Mayor. And I'm not just saying that because I've known you for the past 5 years. And I could say from my experience knowing you during the whole exile of Trump, during the whole 4 years when we were all basically canceled in New York, is that there's nobody that has more of a backbone than you. You mentioned earlier your accomplishments as mayor, as a prosecutor, but those were the good times. Like in the bad times, I got to witness your courage and your strength. And I really mean this. In the worst of times, we didn't know President Trump was going to get reelected. We didn't know we were going to make a comeback the way that we did. And you never bent. Like, your backbone stayed intact. You continued to fight for the integrity of the 2020 election. You continued to speak out against the Biden regime and the weaponization. And I think that's exactly what we need right now. I really mean it. I think that we have a time right now in America, which is right now, when we could get an interim attorney general in there that could clean up the very dirty Department of Justice, something unfortunately Pam Bondi did not do. And the time is right now for President Trump to put somebody in there that is going to clean up this mess for future generations, because a Democrat could come in, a Rhino could come in 2028. And what's going to happen is they're going to come for all of us again, like they did in the past, Mr. Mayor. So that's why I'm advocating for you. I hope you don't mind that I'm doing that. And
I don't mind, but I have to tell you and your audience, you're wonderful. And this is very hard to say. I have no doubt that I could reform the Justice Department. The things that I did well, I knew what I was going to do before I went into them. When I became U.S. Attorney, when I became Associate Attorney General, third ranking official in the Justice Department, I won't bore you with it, but I knew exactly what I was going to do. And we set up a drug task force that's still working, still operating today, and sold President Reagan on it, even though it was going to cost $250 million, and we were in a 10% cut, and a really serious one. When I argued in the Supreme Court, I argued in 5 district courts. When I became U.S. Attorney, I think people know what I did. But before I went in as U.S. Attorney, I spent 3 months figuring out what I was going to do. And if I didn't think I could do it, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said no. So, yeah, I know exactly what has to be done with the Justice Department. I know it better than anyone else. I've probably been in it longer than anyone else, in a lot of different positions, including a law clerk to a federal judge. So I know the judiciary. But politically, it's a very difficult choice. And also within his administration, there are people that don't want people around who are associated with his past, because they think that's bad for him politically. I believe firmly, if we don't uncover correctly and appropriately, and in a way that is judicially justified, legally justified, beyond any doubt, what happened? It's going to happen to us again, and we're letting down America. The Democrats are fully ready to cheat, steal. One of the reasons for the problem with America is the massive amount of Democrat corruption in just about every major old city in this country. I know it best in New York, but Minneapolis is displaying it. You think it's just Minneapolis? Of course it isn't. Is it every city? Of course not. Is it most old Democrat cities? Chicago, 65 years of Democrat rule. You don't think they're crooks? Well, then you're stupid. That's the major problem. That's got to be unraveled if we're going to fix internal America, so that the people representing them don't mislead them. The condition of Black people in the poorer areas that have never been fixed are because of the Democratic Party. They've stolen all the money that was going there. I learned that in 1970 when I handled the Model Cities Administration. The money that's going into these not-for-profits, half of them goes into the pockets of the owners and the politicians. You can't possibly explain a New York budget of 2.5 times Florida, and Florida has 3 million more people, except for the fact that there's a lot more stealing in New York, and they have to make very large contracts because they have to build in the kickback money. In Florida, you don't have to build in kickback money. Or if you have to, it's very occasional. It's not systemic. An attorney general has to fix that, or America can't get fixed. He's got to fix the fact that most Americans want voter ID. The Democrat Party stops it against the interests of their people. The attorney general should be the one explaining to the American people how they're being double-crossed, because this is needed so much to keep our elections straight. So there are a lot of things that have to be done. Just a question of reorienting it and realizing that the department is 95 or 85% Democrat. So you're going to have to achieve what you want to achieve with a group of people that are going to try to undercut you, say the worst things about you every day, and all you do is laugh at them. There's nothing they can say about me or do to me that will stop me from doing what I want. They tried that. I mean, they tried to they took away my law practice, which to me broke my heart. It still does. It's the thing I love to do best, be a lawyer. But they tried to take away everything I own. There was a period of time when I had no money to buy anything. And there was a period of time when they had my grandfather's watch and wouldn't give it back to me. It's the most important heirloom thing in my family. My grandfather got it in Italy. I'm named for him. It says RG on it. My father gave it to me when I graduated from college, and told me he was so proud of me. And I used to wear vests when I argued appeals so I could have the watch on. And when I told the judge, could I at least have the watch back? They had millions of dollars of my property. It isn't that I didn't have a lot of property. This watch is probably worth, I don't know, $500. I said, could I please have the watch back? The judge said to me, well, I just had a Hispanic man here. Of course, he doesn't have the kind of money you have, but I let him have to give up his family heirloom. I said, well, Judge, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe there's something mean about you. Didn't you ever hear about equity? I mean, there are two courts under common law, the King's Court and the Equity Court. You inherited all that. So maybe you should go back and study the Equity Court. Then when he came out with a written opinion, after I just finished testifying, he had a 28-page written opinion that he wrote in 5 minutes. He walked out, and I got up and objected. My lawyer tried to pull me down. I said, Judge, you couldn't possibly have considered this case. You had that written last night before I testified. That's outrageous. I just want to put that on the record. He said, that's highly inappropriate. I said, it's not inappropriate. It's exactly appropriate. So I'm not one who backs down. And I believe if we back down, it's all going to happen all over again. It's what we did last time. And last time it was justifiable. We really didn't know how bad it is. When we didn't prosecute Hillary, we didn't prosecute this one, that one. Had we done a couple of those prosecutions, I don't know if it would have been so bad after. But these people are, these are, I know criminals. These people are criminals. Look at Swalwell. So, what's coming out on Swalwell now is just a piece of how bad he is. No one's ever investigated how much information he gave to China, or how much information Dianne Feinstein's 19-year Chinese source got from her, and she was on the Intelligence Committee. They protect each other. Gotta get it over with. This is our last opportunity, I think, to get it over with.
100%. And last thing I'm going to say about these younger picks, a lot of these, men, for the most part, that they're looking at, from what I understand from, say, a Todd Blanche, is that he's a young attorney that's thinking about his next job, that's thinking about his next appointment, that's always thinking about a Democrat that might come into power. So they're not the right person for the job right now. Even Lee Zeldin, who I think is a great guy, is always going to be thinking about his political career, and he's going to make decisions based on politics, based on if they look good optically. When I think you, Mr. Mayor, or somebody like you, isn't thinking about that. You're just thinking about wanting
they could disbar me again.
What was that?
I said they could disbar me again.
Right. There's nothing they could do to you. You have nothing to lose. You have been through the fire and back. None of these people know what it feels like to go what you went through. And I don't think you fear that. So I'm advocating for you, Mr. Mayor. I'm putting it into the universe.
Well, let's see. It's a long shot. And not only that, I can see, I mean, I've also been in politics as much of my life as I have in law and law enforcement. So I understand politics. I understand how difficult it is. And I understand the internal debate in the Trump administration, which isn't all wrong, by the way. I think it's wrong. I'd come out the other way, but I can understand why certain people say, stay away from the past. It was too complicated. But in some ways, it's the past that made the future.
It's the past that made the future, Mr. Mayor. And President Trump got elected with the popular vote when everybody knew of his ties to you and others. So to me now, just putting this out there, I don't think that could hurt him. People always knew that he believed that the election was stolen. They always know that President Trump is friends with Rudy Giuliani and others, and he still got elected with the popular vote, and he was polling really well. So I don't think that that's an issue. I think that people would be happy on both sides of the conservative movement right now to see someone like you get appointed. And I don't think Democrats would have a problem with it as long as they see criminals going to jail. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see people that broke the law and that weaponize the government, because they don't want any government weaponized against them. So to me, that's the most important thing right now. Do you have any final words on what you think that?
No, but I would say let's make sure whatever we do, this is really important, that the person selected is a real lawyer, dedicated, principled lawyer that has the old-fashioned virtues of a lawyer. And when we put these people in who go more to politics or are more worried about the Bar Association, they're not. They have poor excuses for a lawyer. Being a lawyer is a very honorable profession. It has very, very high ethical standards. I never had an ethical complaint in 52 years as a lawyer, except I was disbarred for representing my client. For me, that's an honor. I feel like I'm John Adams. John Adams represented the English soldiers who shot Americans. Donald Trump didn't shoot any soldiers, but they treated him worse than the English. And I knew that. I volunteered to represent him because, yes, he was my friend. Yes, I politically supported him. I represented him because nobody else wanted to. When I went back to the district court, nobody would represent me in front of the chief judge of the court because they were afraid of her. In District of Columbia, guys making $4 or $5 million a year. I had to go get a kid to represent me. He did a great job because he had, you know what, and you followed that. You know what I'm saying? How terrible those judges were.
Of course.
Those judges committed a violation of our human rights, civil rights constitution equal to what was done with the Japanese internment, maybe worse.
100%.
And you were a first-hand witness to it, and you know it better than anyone does.
Yeah, we both do, Mr. Mayor. So that's why I'm advocating for Rudy Giuliani or someone just like him. I don't know if the person exists out there in the world. You're one of a kind, but 100%. And anybody
Well,
watching
thank
the
you
show,
very
I'll
much.
put
And
that
we'll
into
see.
your, yeah, we want Rudy Giuliani for Attorney General or someone just like him. And Rudy, thank you so much for coming on today. And people could watch your show on Lindell TV at 7 p.m. every night.
7 o'clock, we'll be back, and we'll be following up on these themes and also what's going on in Iran.